From Bobbie Richardson. Bobbie is a seer, a channeler and author. Bobbie's passion is to align humanity with our potential by reawakening our imaginative, intuitive side and bringing balance and awareness to our
doing the same trick.
Bobbie has experienced other dimensional realities and has received messages and knowledge regarding the potential of humanity, where we can go with info of the new paradigm and her visions of 5D. Please make welcome Bobbie Richardson.
Can you flick it to the other one, because this one's doing the same. Come up and help. I'm just going to have to keep on pressing this backwards because it's going to keep on going forwards. Sorry about this. It's got its own timer going on its own timer. So because of that, I've decided to come forth and explain to you some of the things that I've gone through, some of the amazing stories I've had. I've had, you name it, interdimensional beings, extraterrestrial beings. And when I say interdimensional and extraterrestrial, I'm not talking within my mind. These are something that has actually visited me. These are beings that have actually physically formed themselves in front of me. Elemental beings that have come to see me. I've had, you name it, I've had it. I've also had the privilege to connect to Uluru. I've also been taken under the wing of a Cherokee elder called Grandmother Parisha. For a few years she talked with me and worked with me. And you know, there's been a lot of extraordinary events with lots of synchronicities that has happened. So I'm going to have to keep flicking back with this. Sorry about that. My first contacts coincided with the Kaikoura contacts in New Zealand. I was in Christchurch at the time. I'm going to flick through some of these very fast because there's a lot of information I want to share with you guys. So I was, like I said, gifted to be able to see interdimensionally. My mother had exactly the same gift as well, but she had shut it down. So it wasn't until I left home that this really started coming to me. I saw my children when I gave birth to them, and they were floating around. They were astral traveling. About 5 months I could see them astral traveling. And I'm just keeping an eye on that. If I keep going back and forth, just excuse that. My youngest daughter I actually saw stand beside my bed, and I was still pregnant with her, and she was handing me a gift. She was about 6 years old, and she looks exactly like she does. Nothing like my other daughter, by the way. So I had a mission dream in my late teens. And that mission dream was of myself and everybody else climbing up a massive mountain. And I'm sure other people out here have had mission dreams as well. And this mountain was hard yakka. And 3/4 of the way through, I've had enough. I'm taking a break. And I actually did take a break in Mullaney. And then I went back into another relationship and did the hard yakka of clearing more of my own shit again. Excuse my language. And at the very top of this mountain was a huge maze in front of everybody. And I was only 19 when I had this dream, and everyone turned to me and said, "You'll be taking us through the maze." And I didn't understand what that meant, but I've kept that dream within my reality since then. In my 20s was the first time I had channeling, telepathic communication with beings. I was travelling, my mind was pretty mucked up, and I was travelling to Akaroa, in New Zealand with my partner at the time. And we pulled up on a beach. On the way there, I had this voice saying, "Just think positive." And it kept saying, "Just think positive." Why not think positive? No one else can hear what's in your mind. And when I got to the beach, we pulled up, and the same voice said, "Open the car door and dig." And I was thinking, this is a bit confusing to me because I'd never had this sort of experience before. But I opened the car door and I dug up a solid gold bracelet with a tattered heart, kind of representing where I was at the time. And it was worth quite a few $100s. And I was flabbergasted, so I started following that voice, and that voice was teaching me things like how to loosen my jaw before I go to sleep, how to go to different places in my mind so that I could relax into my life. Took me to a tarot card tarot cards that was done by Osho, and they taught me a lot. And I started learning that the more I cleared my mind, the more I could manifest things and create a beautiful existence for myself. But this was like the training wheels. And then I ended up going to Australia. And when I came to Australia, the training wheels were dropped off. And they're like, go, swim yourself now, you have to do this on your own. And I was kind of a little lost for a while when I came to Australia. But I wanted to be a singer-songwriter, and I ended up in Today Tonight singing an original song of mine, and I won the competition with B105 and ended up singing in front of Broncos game and all sorts of things. Although I didn't really appreciate it too much when they asked me to sign my life away every morning and tell me that, I couldn't sue them if they wanted to use my name as a sexual object. It wasn't my sort of thing at all. So that kind of went wayside after that. In 2004, I had been working with a friend of mine, and I'd been given downloads of potential new Earths and dreams of potential new Earths. So we were discussing what this could look like. And I was still questioning all of this through all of this. And I was in Kenilworth, and I landed in the river at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I stood in this river. It was only up to here. And I stood in this river, and I thought, I'm going to speak to God. Never spoken to God before. Thought of God as like an energy outside of myself at that time. But I just went, God, show me a sign. I want to see some sign if this is going to come true, if we are going to be going into this other dimensional space that you guys keep telling me. And straight away, a huge rainbow appeared, and it was just on the other side of that river there, and I could see the end of it, and I was flabbergasted because it happened directly as I asked. And then I was told that something was underneath the rainbow, and so I walked over the other side of the river the afternoon with my family, and a friend of ours picked up this stone and said, I think this is what you're looking for. So the stone stayed in my glove box for a couple of years, to tell you the truth. And then my daughter said, I think you need to work with this now. And I was meditating at the time, and something really strange happened, like the stone, a vortex in my ear started opening up this side. It was extremely loud. It was outside of myself, like a sucking motion. And then the stone was placed in my mind, twirling on an angle like this. And when that happened, after that, in my dreams, the stone would come in my dreams, and it started telling me what was the truth and what was not, if I was going the wrong way or if I wasn't. Only if I asked. And also it used to crumble in my dreams sometimes, and it had these little crystals inside, and then it was teaching us how to be telepathic and telekinetic, which was very interesting. And I think this is still to come. In 2011, when the earthquakes happened, I reached for the stone, and it fell on the ground, and it split completely in 2/3 to 1/3, which reminded me of a dream that I'd had where I was shown what we were going to be led into, and that was where a draconian energy attacked my arm, left 3 scratches. There was a huge boulder in front of me representing humanity, and it made a great almighty crack, and it split 2/3 to 1/3. So I believe that 2/3 to 1/3 are going to come through to this new reality, and the other third I was shown that they were going back to the start of evolution, and they become like salamanders, and so their reality feels like that energy. So that was interesting. This is in 2005. I was asking, because I had so many visions coming at me crazy all the time. 3 times a night, sometimes I'd be waking up. I asked to meet someone of high integrity. They told me that I didn't have to, but I wanted to. And I ended up meeting in Byron Bay this elder called Grandmother Parisha, Venerable Grandmother Parisha. And she picked me out of a crowd and then did this neuron changey thing. I didn't even know what a neuron path was at the time. And I felt that clarity that I felt before when the training wheels were being shown to me those years back. So she got my attention, and I went back a year later and saw her again, and she picks me out of another crowd. And then she said to me, I will be working with you. So she worked with me over the years, and I went to Melbourne one day. I was sitting in a theatre with her. She was going to do like a talk on remote viewing, but we were supposed to watch the movie first. She said, Bobbie, come and sit here. And she took my hand, and she started breathing really strangely. And I thought she had fallen asleep, but she had actually gone into some meditative state, and we connected telepathically through that movie for over an hour. Now my left brain was going, what the shit is happening here? I don't think this is for real. So I wanted confirmation. So I said to her, okay, grandmother, can you please ask me to follow you back to America? And I knew she wouldn't normally do something like that. She actually said telepathically to me, why would I do that? And I said to her, this is my confirmation. So after she gave the talk, she called over her husband, Tony, and she said, Tony, we want Bobbie to follow us back to America. The exact words that I asked. And then she whispers in my ear, it's magical, isn't it? And I'm like, holy crap, this is for real. So then all of the visions that I had, and I had been focusing, prior to that, I'd been focusing on the true history of humanity. I now changed that, although that was still rolling underneath everything. They were still going to tell me the true history of humanity. That's another story, by the way, but a very long one. Sorry, just lost my train of thought then. So, yeah. Okay, so Grandmother Parisha was giving me a sign, yeah. God, I really have lost my thought. Huh?
To go to America.
To go to America.
Your focus.
Sorry about this, guys. I did this last time too, you know. I think I'm going too fast and they're just slowing me down. So yeah, ended up, she ended up giving me a whole heap of downloads anyway, and I ended up being taken to a lot of potential realities, a lot of new earths, and what that's going to feel like, what that's going to look like. And because of that, I hold this vibration within me so that I can share it with others of what this stillness happens with us when we start to acknowledge the left part of ourselves, the right brain and the left brain, as one, because there's so much more to it. This is like some of the images that I've done so that I can give you a little bit of the new earth that we're going to go to. This one over here, this dolphin one, is more Palladian type scenario, because the dolphins can actually talk to you as part of the family. They are part of your family over there. In 2011, I ended up having a dream, and the dream took me to Uluru in a bus, and I woke up the very next day. I was going to see David Icke present in Australia, and when I ended up waking up, this email was in my computer, and it said, does anyone want to follow me to Uluru? I'm picking 20 people. You put your name in a hat, kind of thing. And I knew I was going because I just woke up for the dream, and I've had a lot of premonition dreams in my life. So I put my name in the hat, and apparently I was the first one pulled out. When I went to Uluru, I was sitting next to a guy called Max Ingham on the bus, and he was holding a talking stick, and that talking stick was going to be given to a group of people that were doing a ceremony in Uluru the very next day. So he took off one day earlier than we went. And then just before I went to Uluru, I'm sitting in the bus 15 minutes out, and then I just started crying. I'm just crying, and I have no idea why I'm crying, I'm just crying. I felt like a bit of a twit, but that's how it went. And I put my hand on the mountain when I got there, and it all stopped, and I was fine then. And I didn't want to disrespect any of the original people or the Aboriginal people, so I really made sure that there was no disrespect happening with them. And there was a bus driver, and he was really in the tribes of the Aboriginals. So I thought to myself, he's somebody that, because he was making sure no one was going to do any ceremonies or silly stuff around the mountain, I decided he was somebody of integrity that I could follow or whatever. I saw him on the path and I walked up to him. Now, the elder that I showed you before, she had given me a name called Alanawa Nanahi. Alanawa meant turtle, and it's where I carried the code and the map on the back of the turtle to lead people through to the new earth. And Nanahi meant fairy, and fairy is, she said I was a creator of the fairy clan, which is why I had so many visions of had fairy coming to me as well. So I get to this path and I see this bus driver, and I thought to myself, I'm going to tell him it feels like there's portholes around Uluru. There's something here. And then I didn't even get to say anything. He turned to me. He never knew what my name was. He said, I saw a turtle in Uluru in the mountain. And I'm like, well, hang on a sec. That's my name that this elder had given me. And so he reefs me, just grabs me and starts taking me underneath into the mountain, and we get to these two huge crevices, and he squeezes himself into the crevice, and then he says, can you see? And I'm next to him, and there's, we're in this crevice with somewhere in the mountain, and he says, can you see the turtle? I'm thinking, I can't really see what I think that you can see, but we're here now. And I had had communication with Palladian energies and Palladian beings. And I said, I think we're supposed to put our foreheads on the mountain. I had no idea what to chant, because they chanted when they did this with me on my forehead. But I just decided to, whatever, come out. And he had already started. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm following him because he's fine with it, so we're all fine with this. So I started just chanting away, and it was like a woo, like a massive woo heartbeat that was happening through the mountain. And then everything within my mind that I'd had in the visions and the dreams and everything they'd been showing me were flowing through me and into the mountain and into Mother Earth. And then I had a little discussion with her and said, many have awoken, and she said to me, I'll help you awake many more. And then I turned to him and I'm thinking, holy crap, we've got to go because he's the bus driver and we've got to catch a plane this afternoon, and everyone's going to be waiting at the bus. And I turned to him and he looks at me and his eyes were honestly like drugged out. No drugs were taken, but his eyes were like, dilated. And he's going, oh my God, none of it's real, none of it's real. And I'm like, well, we got to get you back to the bus. I hope you can get back to yourself, I'm fine. But anyway, we get to the footpath, and as soon as I put my foot on that footpath, I realized it wasn't the bus driver that I had followed into Uluru. It was some of the guy that was on the bus. But I would never have followed that dude into the Uluru because I wanted to respect the Aboriginal people, the original people. So I thought, well, it's done now. I can't do much about it. The bus driver was back at the bus going, they've gone into the mountain. I know they have. So, okay, that happened. These are the four beings that I had contact me for the true history. I'm not going to get too much into this because this is a huge story. But the four beings started off with the reptilians. They taught me my power because they attacked me. So when they attacked me, this being came up, and this is for real. This is not in my head. I sat up in bed and saw this being, smelt this being, felt this being. He grabbed me around my neck and he tried to put pills in my mouth, and I knew I was going to be fine. I didn't know how, but what had happened was all my chakras, I think they met in between my sacral and my heart chakra, just flung out as white light. And it's like I raised my vibration out of his vibration. And then I had to get rid of him out of my head. Another story altogether. But once you can do that, you have full control of yourself, and that's what they're doing. They're pushing us. They're pushing us to take control of our brain, our mind, and be able to find the stillness within ourselves to empower ourselves. The Palladians were the next, and like I said, they chanted starting with Ra. And honestly, that's all I can remember. As Rala, Ning, or I don't know. And then they'd turn their head and they were igniting me something, waking something up. They were the go-betweens. They helped. They were kind of a cousin. They helped us. They were sent by the Lyrans, who are the creator beings. That's the beings down here more. But the Lyrans were actually scattered. They went around the whole universe trying to improve their DNA because the reptilians were attacking them and they weren't strong beings. So when they did that, they came to Earth eventually and infused us with DNA as well. And the Anunnaki also came into my room. There was 4 massive beings. Such a big story, this though. The one in the middle is the beings that's associated with me and who I am, and they've come to me recently as well. But the whole story ties in with what's happening now and the whole shift that's happening, how we've now got creator and we've got consumer within us. And we need to embrace both sides because we're the actual instigation to helping all the other species reawaken them as well and realise their bigger part in the picture. Because when we realise that our 2 hemispheres, our masculine and our feminine, is like the split of source when it first split. Like source is just love. So when it splits, it becomes 2 parts of that don't know each other. So we've got that within our brain, our left and our right brain. 2 parts that can't speak to each other unless through the corpus callosum. So in this year, in March 28, I actually asked to meet oneness 2 years previously, and I was told I need to take medicine to meet oneness. It's the only time that I have taken medicine to have an experience. Every other time there was no medicine. But this night, everything has come true so far that happened this night. And so I know what's coming, and it's so exciting because everything so far, and it's only been 7 months since this has happened. So what I want to explain to you is it's like a breath. Like God is like a breath that we are, and we are God, and it is us. And the very first of it goes out to halfway, and that's when we learnt all about our intuition and our imagination. And then when it got halfway here, it went up into the next part, which was learning all about our logical, scientific side, which we've just come out of. Now we've just entered the quickening, the center gate. So at the very top, that's when everything went in lockdown, because when you're in the quickening, everything that you are is bang, straight in front of you. You cannot not face yourself anymore. The mirror is right there. The reflection is right there. So the whole world, because the draconians kept hold of that power for longer than what they should have, it ended up that we were mirrored with the lockdown that we're in now, because our right brain has been in lockdown for eons. So we're just mirroring what's really happening within inside. And what's happening? People are going home, and when they go home, they're starting to create. And what's that igniting? That's igniting our right brain again. And we're starting to come back to, I need to find myself spiritually again. And we're starting to question our reality again. So what's going to happen is, what I was told, this would take 9-month gestation from March to where the source energy of just love is. And when I experienced source energy, it was everything was me and I was everything. There was no difference between what was in here and what was out there. And the same goes for absolutely everybody here. We're all just pieces of the puzzle, and we're just going to find out that we really come from source. We come from love. That's all we are to begin with. And everything else is a split of ourselves. So the split of ourselves is just that reflection to say, you've just forgotten the unknown part of yourself that also comes from love. And you're fighting it because you don't understand it. But it's actually everything comes from love. Consuming and creating. It's just works, that's how it all works. So in this lockdown, I just want to help you a little bit. They taught me that every time you feel victim, take a deep breath and remember that the old energy is being brought up for you to clear. So every time something's a bit, go, okay, what's in front of me right now? This is going to be right in front of me for me to clear. Right now I can clear it. And it's quicker to clear things now than what it was eons ago. This is the quickening. So you can decide and you can find a way to clear things very quick. The next one is allow your intuition to play a part in your reality, because that's what allows you to drive you to your happiness. Your intuition is connected to the soul, it's connected to your heart, it allows you to have that beautiful, work towards what you really love yourself. Sing, dance, shake it up, this is going to help heaps. I had a dream of meeting Earth. And when I met Earth, she was a turtle swimming in the sea, and she had a wound on her flipper. And there was a beach that didn't have much, the water just came up. There's only a little bit of beach there. She started digging and she buried her eggs in the sand, and she's going to give birth. And I said to her, she actually formed then into a beautiful white blonde being that was a lot taller than me. And I said, what about the rubbish that's on the way? She said, you need to go to where the celebration is happening. And I said, what about all this rubbish? Don't worry about the rubbish. The rubbish will be cleared up. What about your wound? Don't worry about the wound. The wound will be cleared up. What you need to do is dance your way through this. You need to lift your vibration to come with me. And because I'm going somewhere that's absolutely magnificent, because at that stillness where we're going is we are going to learn to create, not from just the logical side, not from just the intuitive side, but from both sides together. So that's that. And so we're going to connect slowly to the 5D. And when I say connect, doesn't mean that everything in the 3D can still be operated from. We can go work, we can do everything physically and everything like that. But when you have clarity of mind, when you start becoming more clear, magic starts happening within you. You have more abilities. Now you're going to make different choices with those different abilities that you have. Colours will start becoming heightened. Every time I went into a new earth, there was a beautiful colour. More contact with elementals and extraterrestrials will happen. This is going to start with telepathy, just like it did with me. So you will start getting subtle voices in your head, maybe leading you to treasure as well. That'll be awesome. Synchronicities will start happening and more manifesting abilities line up because you're clear. So everything you're creating is going to happen straight away. You're going to start realizing that you are the creator of your reality every time. So it's going to seem like synchronicities are going to happen. You'll start to see a shift in people supporting you and rather than not supporting you, which has just started happening with me a lot more now. And the universe will want to support you as well. Stillness in the mind will become more easy, and what that is living in the moment, completely living present. Whenever I was in these new realities, my mind was just euphoric. It was just still. It was beautiful. The ability to teleport will start with remote viewing. So remote viewing is one of the first things you need to do to be able to learn to teleport if that's your thing. Now, not everything's going to be everyone's thing because everyone has a piece of the puzzle that they're going to work towards. But we're all going to start with these new abilities coming to us soon. Telekinesis is going to start happening. Because you are starting to realize that everything is you and you're everything. So you're not just limited to your body anymore. The chair is you. The table is you. So you can move your body. You should be able to move the chair. You should be able to move the table. But clarity of mind is always impeccable. That has to happen first. Healing abilities and clarification with water will happen. If you can change the molecules of water and into love, just like the Dr. Edamato and his crystal waters, then you can clear everything within a human being, within an animal. You can help heal everything that is, we're all 90% water kind of thing. So that's what I was told. Our connection to Earth and everything will start to increase, everything that lives on Earth. this is a really fun thing because our imagination's going to start becoming more. It's just, I love this because then we can tap into the animals. The animals have codes too. So the animals we can tap into, we can learn from their codes. If we become, say, a crow, we can learn how to go between worlds because they spiritually go between worlds. There's a whole heap of other abilities that we can learn from all of the different animals. And it's learning to use your imagination again. So you're stilling your mind, using your imagination, and imagine yourself being a certain animal. You'll feel their vibration, and that magic will start happening, but you need to have the still mind again. Very important. I have also put together a meditation. Just wondering how much time I have. And the meditation is on my website, and it is bringing everybody through being the observer of themselves and the observer of the world, the observer of universe, the observer of everything, to the point where you're the observer of all, and then you are all, and then learn to create a whole new reality. So that meditation is up on my website, and the crazy thing is I was wondering whether to call it 3D to 5D, and what happened the next day, I pick up an order and the order says 3D 5D with Earth for E. So these are the synchronicities that will keep coming at me all the time. So we got, and then I think the next one is just learning to use our combined energies. We can actually lift this whole vibration, even in this room, to imagine a spiral energy coming out of the room and then going out to the world. There is so much more we can do with our energies. We are very powerful beings. So there is only one way to connect us back to source energy and become our authentic selves, and that is through love. Self-love, which is inclusive of all that is in our reality. Not the self-love that is referring to only this body, but the love that includes at every moment what you are and what you're a part of and what you observe. Because all outside of you is in reflection of you, so that you can see yourself clearly at every moment. You can't cover the mirror with post-its and false illusions and pictures anymore to distract you, because behind those post-its is always a reflection of your true self. You need to be honest with yourself. You need to accept all your flaws, all your gifts, everything. It is all part of an experience that is source energy, and you are very valuable in all of this. There's not one being, not one person on this planet that isn't part of the whole. It is extremely important to realize we cannot be judging each other anymore, because that is not going to be taken through to the 5D. I just remembered too, just to share with you what I forgot before, which was when I was with Parisha. I had a vision quest, and I really wanted to share this with you guys. Maybe they didn't want me to share it, but I'm going to share it. And normally you do not share vision quest, but what had happened in mine was, this is very personal to me, but I feel it's personal to everybody because you're all my reflection, and that's how I'm seeing it. There was a teepee, and I was in a tent. We had 28 days of extreme diet, no sugar, no root vegetables, and then no food through this vision quest. When I was in the tent, there was warring side from both sides. There was horses galloping towards the tent, and I knew I had to get out of that tent. And I saw a cave, and I went to the cave, and what had happened was the two warring horses is the left brain and the right brain that's warring us from inside ourselves. This is who we are. We are coming from war zone, from inside ourselves, not outside. That's just a reflection. And then I went to a cave, and in the cave was completely protected. There was no way I was allowed to enter that cave, and this elder just shot a bow and arrow, shot an arrow at me. She did no questions asked, she just shot it. And another elder flung herself in front of me and took the blow. And This first elder grabbed my hand, and no matter what she did, she realised I could still go through to the next dimension. And she was very angry and just went, go up the stairs, go. I can't stop you, obviously. So I went up the stairs and I came to a beautiful opening in a beautiful field, and it was magical with the colours very vivid, and there was a river that was flowing through, and there was a bridge that went over the river. Now the bridge represents the corpus callosum, which is between the two hemispheres of the brain. And on the bridge, a little boy, my higher self, my higher guidance, Palladian energy, whatever you want to call it, came up to the bridge and he said, watch this. And he puts his hand out and he stills the water. And when he stilled the water, there was after that there was two fish just floating on down, and they were dead, big fish. And then he says, watch this. And then he puts his hand out and the fish swam underneath and came alive. And I'm like, oh, this guy's so magical. And the next fish was decaying, dead. I thought, there's no way he's going to get this one alive. Puts his hand out and it swims under the bridge and it starts sprouting these weeds and it morphs into something new. And then it swims off. Now those fish represent the stories that we are living. And the stories that we are living now are dying. They are dead. They are not needed anymore. The lesson has been made. Enough with this lesson of left brain logical science. We don't need it anymore. We are coming up to creating a new reality, and that's what that whole vision quest was about. So we can change every story to what we want, to what's going to make us happy, what's going to make you thrive. Come from your happiness. Every time you step into your happiness, you are giving the world a much better place to be in. It is so important. So thank you very much for listening to me. And sorry about the hiccup.